I will lead with a problem. I like grounding things. So we will say one problem which I love solving, which is a contracts problem. I will lay down what problem we are solving. So at least we'll share the same common understanding. Then we will say, how can you evaluate if you're solving this problem? There's so many models. I will share my tricks and tips with you so that you can evaluate there are 1,000 models out there. How can you narrow the scope? What requirements you need to give as a product manager to narrow the scope? And once you have the scope, how can you come to 10 or 20 models? And then I will take you one step forward, that how can you use existing results or benchmarks to actually narrow down to one or two models. Okay. And that's, everybody can do for free. And I will share that how I do it. And hopefully that helps. Then we will talk about how can you set human evals? And because that's critical or the only way to ship AI today. So don't take, if anybody is saying LLM judge are going to solve all your problems or we have automated all our evals, I run away from those people and those companies. So I will set you the foundation, which is allowing us all to ship AI agents, which is setting human evals. I will give you a framework. I will give you on that example, a file also, how I set up. And then we will see what metrics, and then we will see how can you automate. The last part I may not be able to cover fully, but at least I will touch on it and then give you a link where you can go and read more. And if that's fun, then you can stay for Q&A. If that's not fun, of course, you can leave anytime. Nobody stops you. Okay. With that said, let's get started. So what are the problem we are solving? The problem we are solving is contracts. I don't read my contracts. I have signed a contract where I signed up with a company where I said everything I talk, teach is their property. And I didn't know. I learned later when when I was trying to quit and said, at least give me my videos. And they said, sorry. So all consumers, all of us sign contracts left and right every day. You know, when you download an app, it's a contract. When you go sign a lease, it's a contract. When you talk to someone and if they send you an NDA, that's a contract. And there are a lot of things. Some of them has an arbitration clause. That means that you can't sue them no matter what they do to you. So, but we never read it, 70%. Small businesses are also like us. They don't read, they're just looking for business and they sign whatever. And sometimes they go bankrupt because they signed something that they can't comply and the other party has a team of lawyers. And even medium and large enterprises have the same problem because even if there are processes, people miss things because it's such a boring job and it's such a complex language that even the experts fail on it. If we can have an AI agent that solves this problem, I think we all will live very happily and enterprises will do great. So that's the problem we're going to focus. And what's the solution? An AI agent that integrates with your email or has a website where you can upload a contract. We can identify the risks. We can help you do compliance, monetization, contract set off. And to do this, let's say you came up with this idea and you narrow the scope that before I give you risks, I need to know what is written. What are the key terms in that contract? So your MVP to solve this problem is a simple solution where a user gives an input, they can send by email or they can upload a contract. And your output is you can just extract the key terms that are there in the contract. That's your first stage. Okay. And you can add them in your CRM or you can give their compliance team what is written. So you are building that smaller version, the bare minimum structure for your Uber scope to get started. Are we on same page? We are solving a problem with contracts. We have narrowed the scope to key term extraction. Customer sends the contract by email, they get a response with key terms, or if they upload it on our portal, we also give them fancy UI. Aaron on same page? Aaron say yes. Okay, Aaron said yes. We are on same page. Great. Then that's all. Now you can sit back, relax, and let me go on my board and you just enjoy. Let me lay it down. The deck is with you. Let me share the deck with all of you so you can follow along if you want to. But most of the magic we will try to do over board from now onwards. And you will see how we go step by step and do our job as product managers. Okay. So this idea is free. A lot of VPs have a lot of ideas. This is one of them. And if you are in that company, what's your job next? Okay. Step one. That's on step two on the slide, but let's just do the step one. Step one, you can identify a few critical things in this journey. Number one is, okay, what kind of contracts are we going to support and what's the size of those? Because the problem I'm trying to solve here is I'm trying to choose the right model. There are thousands of models out there, and I'm giving the requirements that anybody can use to find that one or two models that would be best for solving this problem. My job is to give the requirements, right? And these are my requirements. Number one, you should specify the contract length in two forms. One is your average, and what is the maximum you want to support. You will understand this in no time. Achint, go ahead.
So, Mahesh, when we are saying our objective is to basically select a model, here we are actually doing RAG, correct?
We will decide that.
Okay,
we don't
because
know. You don't
okay.
know. Somebody gave you the problem, just follow along, drag will come, right?
Got it.
And today, Achint, you joined late, that's why. No interruptions. You can have this simple clarification once over chat and somebody will clarify. So do it
Sure.
over chat because I have just a lot to land. So I'm trying to see how can I reach 9:40 and land it a lot. And then you can have 20 minutes and we can have these questions back. I can come back and forth, but at least we landed the ideas. You should say average number of pages and you should have maximum number of pages. Okay. And that's where you as a product manager come. People are talking about this all the time that, you don't need product managers. You will see in this board that without you, these people are just going to make so many mistakes and they will never ship. But you need to justify these frameworks that this is the value I add. So average 10 pages, maximum 100 pages. Okay. That's one thing you specify. Then you specify the priority for this use case. Where is the priority? Obviously, three things like cost, latency, and accuracy of results. Right? All these three are important. They are basically these three. You specify, but you can say, where is my customer most sensitive? And in this case, you are saying accuracy is more important. We are going in legal. Then the customer are sensitive about cost, and hopefully they don't care latency because anyways you will do things in minutes and lawyers are taking days. So your ground truth or your current state is, so that's your priority. So specify that priority and specify where you are. Third thing you can also need to know is when you're making, especially for model choices, hey, how many developers or how much budget I have? And I'm assuming just we are getting started. We are a startup and we have one or two engineers. And they are not also researchers. They have one or two, these are full stack engineers which can bring these APIs together. They know a little bit about AI. That's what you will land. 90% chances are that's how your team will look. So once you have this, and then last thing is the capacity. You are saying for next 6 months to a year, how many contracts? 10 contracts per minute, per hour, right? That's also important. That will justify, should you go for an open source model or a closed source model? But you need to give me these requirements. Okay. Once you give me these requirements as a product manager, you should have a table and you should fill this table. And there can be more. I'm just laying down the basics, which if in the course we have the whole chapter on it, we spend the week, and we give the whole table. But these are the bare minimum things. Once you have these, then you can use the existing leaderboards to go and start thinking, where should I land this? And how can I narrow the scope or do some initial comparisons? So I gave this leaderboard link. I like this one because they have done a lot of work which I was doing earlier. But this is a leaderboard. It's all public. It's all free. And what they have done is they have compared open source, closed source model across intelligence, speed, and price. That's their first cut. There's a lot here. They also have a leaderboard across different tasks, and they can compare your language models. They also have Arena. So please explore on your own time. But I go here to first check, hey, what is important for me? Intelligence. Okay. Seems like DeepSeek R1, O3 Mini, Gemini. But DeepSeek R1, I'm like, this is new and there may not be a lot of documentation. So I'm going to go with closed source because they are giving me free credits and DeepSeek may not have that. So let's say based on my inputs, which I did on board, I am narrowing down these because my intelligence is more important than anything else. And I can just take out these Claude ones and others out for the time being. Okay, then if I narrow down on this, then price was the second thing for me. And then I will never go for GPT 4.5. Seems like it is not doing great on my accuracy, 51 intelligence, but the price is 93.8 per million tokens. Okay, which is good enough. I see DeepSeek R1 is actually cheap and it's 60. That's where the craze is coming. That's where the world is talking about DeepSeek. Now you know a little bit more why, because it's the cheapest model with the highest accuracy in the stack. If you lay these two down, you can actually zero down. And because I don't want it to go DeepSeek just for the heck of it, I think O3 Mini will be cool for me, and I can also pick up DeepSeek R1. And then once you do these, then in the below it, they have done a good job of setting the right quadrants. And you can see this is the ideal. So you're not doing great on the cost. You can reduce cost, but then you see latency and output speed. Then you are actually close to that sphere. And then you are looking at this one, which is context window, which is what I talked about. That hey, what's my length on what's my maximum pages I can process? And this is, they are saying 200K tokens, correct? So you can you can do a quick math saying how many pages a word has, how many 200K to pages conversion. Let's see if somebody has built it for me. So how many pages in a contract a 200K context window can support? 200K tokens to pages conversion. So it's saying 500 pages straight away. I looked at my requirements. I said maximum was 100, 10 was here. I'm still doing good. Some of the models will fail you here. If you would have gone for a smaller model like Phi also has 128 these days. They had a smaller context earlier, but now they have increased it. So coming back to this, now you are doing O3 Mini, and you can find they are doing pricing, comparing it with input and output tokens. I have more input tokens. What is input tokens? Anyone? Achint?
Yeah. So basically the tokens that you give in your input prompt,
Great.
right?
Will I
You would
have in this contract example, will I have more input tokens or output tokens? Hassan. Hassan is like, no,
More
Mahesh,
input.
please leave me.
More input.
Okay, somebody saved Hassan. More input. Why more inputs?
Because it is a entire contract being passed for evaluation.
Who said that just you got 20 kudo points from me? When you have
Sugar.
enough kudo point, you can just have 101 sessions with me. See, you get pain and then get more pain. Okay, thanks a lot. So that's another important aspect. If I have something like I am building a system which is write poems in, right? Then this changes because I will just say, hey, write a poem for this, and then I can say write a 2-page poem. Then this cost makes a difference. Then you can look at output speed. We didn't care, but we are saying we can go with OpenAI, which is faster, but Azure is doing good enough. And you can have many metrics here. And this is how I go and do the first analysis. I can get a summary here, and then I can say, hey, this is available on two platforms. I can buy it from OpenAI or I can buy it from Azure. And based on this, I just went with Azure because Azure gave me free credits and OpenAI didn't. So that was my rationale. Second rationale is if you're an enterprise, you want to go with Azure because your data is already with Azure and Azure has more security. So that's quickly I did comparison on my pricing. Summarizing it, I did it on pricing and the pricing was not bad. And I went with highest intelligence and I didn't do Google 2.5 Pro because it just came out. Good. It was just like a week ago. So I couldn't find. We'll go to that. Okay. So you can do 2.5 also, but I didn't do it and Google will hate me for it. But I just went with O3 Mini because it was there 3 months, 6 months. So I have some rationale and you can put your own rationals. But hopefully this was an helpful exercise for you to understand the first piece of our story, which is you gather the requirements and your requirements, which we had on the board, helped your team to narrow the scope. Anybody can do that, right? You need not to worry about will you pick the model. But if you set the right context in your story, which is how many pages, what is important, accuracy, cost, and latency, uh, what is the capacity needed? I can get more and more capacity from Azure than OpenAI. And that's why that second choice, whether to go with once, even if I know I want to go 303 mini high, I went with Azure and I didn't went with OpenAI. Some tenants, some understanding. I know there's a lot, but I think this is where you will go and discover more. I want to move and land two more ideas and then we can discuss. The second thing, as a product manager, you need to do is you need to distill it. So that was step one. Step two, you need to do is just map your customer requirements to these machine learning and AI terms. And if you can do that, it will also help your team narrow or pick this model correctly. What does that mean? Okay, I'm taking a contract, I'm giving key terms in response. So what are the tasks? The task your model is doing in machine learning terms is it is doing a retrieval task. It is retrieving right information. So there is a retrieval task that's getting done. Then the task you are doing is the key terms are based on Q&A. You have a prompt which says, give me the service provider name. Give me how much the contract value is. Give me what, is there an arbitration clause or not? So you are doing Q&A. That's your second task. Third, let's say you also start doing risk analysis. Is this, if I sign it, are there any risk? And for that, you need to reason what is a risk or not. And then because you're integrating it with my email, you're calling different tools, then tools usage is another task here. And you can go on and on. I listed some, but list these. Why list these? Because if you list them, then you can do another magic, which is, or your team can do another magic. But if you don't list it, you can't use the existing benchmark on these tasks. So then once you have these tasks listed, then here is another Azure folks, because I'm going with Azure, they have done some work already. So you can go to Azure AI Foundry, explore models, and then click compare model. Good. So you go to AI Foundry, you click compare model. They have already have a lot of models and they have compared it across different benchmarks. You can pick the benchmarks for retrieval and then you get, okay, retrieval Mistral and GPT-4. Oh, great. But I want GPT-3o mini. So I can just add, let's say DeepSeek and GPT-3o mini, and then I can do quick comparison. Okay. So I say O1, O3 mini, give me O3 mini. DeepSeek R1, let's take that one. And once I confirm that, I can see that, hey, better than Mistral is my DeepSeek R1 because it costs me less and it's almost close to this GPT-4o, right? So now I can see for retrieval specific tasks, this model is a great model, correct? And you can do these comparison across different benchmark. I just did it one. And once you do it, you will have another data to support your argument why you are suggesting these one or two models. And now you capture more data because they have gone and run different benchmarks, run different evals across these models, and you are just using that. Hassan got it. Dunja, you got it. Dunja is like, no, Mahesh, explain again. Okay, so what I did is step by step, I figured out my task, which is a contract task, requires retrieval. Gaurav, we are not taking questions today. So just hold on,
Okay,
we'll take it in the end. No
sure.
problem. But what I did is I said contract extracting key terms is a retrieval task. Once I know the retrieval task, I went to AI Foundry and they have run the test across these models, or these model providers have published their numbers, how good they are on a retrieval job. Because I need to retrieve key terms, right? And then I can quickly just select all of them here and compare it across cost and quality. And then if quality is my North Star metrics, because you told me in your earlier requirement that I care about quality, which is accuracy, then I looked at the lowest cost and the most accurate model, and I can go to DeepSeek R1, or I can see O3 Mini also. Maybe one day. O3 Mini. Let's see.
It's on the
saw it.
top.
I saw above.
First
Up,
or second.
up, Mahesh.
You guys, without you, I will fail
O3 mini.
all along. You are so good. Okay, now we have another game player here. O3 Mini cost is even lower than DeepSeek R1, and it's hosted in Azure, and it is not as expensive as this guy, right? So now I'm good. I have one more argument to support my decision, or I'm giving one more requirement or tenant for my engineering team to make the right decision. Because I told them, check for retrieval, check for Q&A capabilities, check for tools usage. Okay, if you can take these 3 screenshots and put it in your document, everybody will say, you know what, you are my best friend, and you will win so much confidence with your engineering that they will love you all along. Okay, that's all. We have covered our first part. I want to cover one more thing, and then we can do Q&A. So this is how you can quickly go and set up find a model that you want to use for your AI agent. First step, find out what tasks you're going to do. Second step, see what are the requirements on context size. What is important, accuracy or cost? Lay that down. What is the capacity needed? Once you lay it down, you can go to these leaderboards and these benchmarks to pick up one or two models and then have a good discussion with your engineering rather than just having no clue what your model is and why. Now, if any interviewer asks you which models you have used, you can say, I have looked at all of them, and here is my framework. This is how I came to the right model. And they're like, oh, wow, you're so good. And you can say, I did it just by doing this community session. Great. Okay, so we got the right model, we got the benchmark. Second hardest part is setting the human evals on them. So we have qualitative metrics and quantitative metrics. Quantitative is good. Everybody can measure how many contracts I have processed. Good. That's a quantitative metrics, can be your North Star metrics, number of total contract processed, and you are putting everything to increase that number. But after a contract is processed, you got the key terms. How good were they? And who defines good? For that, we use this framework in our course, and I created this, and then it's kind of widely accepted at this point because I know I've read papers from Anthropic where they use the same, which is triple H, which is it helpful? Is it honest? Is it harmless? Like humans. Like we wanted, if I would have hired somebody to do this job, I wanted to see, are they helpful? Which is like, how good are they at their job? Are they honest? When they say something, they mean it. Because people can say this, that, but sometimes they're just lying. So are they honest? And are they harmless? Are they going to have a high integrity by adhering to our policies? Are they going to focus on what matters to us rather than just doing whatever they want to do? So this is how we have focused on humans, and we are going to set the similar thing for our agents. How you do it is, here is an example. I took a contract. This is Intuit MSA. And I put out what are the key terms that are important to do risk or anything in this contract. I interviewed a lot of people who do MSA analysis, my legal agents, my lawyers. They gave me 40 terms. And then I put the ground truth. I said, if a human will do it, how will they do it? So they said, this is what we want. These are our benchmark ground truth. This is the location where this information is. If you want to verify, you can go there, verify it. And then I ask questions. Then I can use my tool or my agent. I can say my agent response, and then I can say my agent location, where it got. So the tool has two things. It not only answer the question, also tell it where in the contract I got it from. That's the location piece. Okay. So you have the ground truth and you can get it from your agent. And then a human, you are asking these questions. You can say, what is a helpful response? Is it not solving the specific problem? Yes or no? Okay. Is it too verbose or not to the point? What you will learn is that you can get the terms from ChatGPT, but ChatGPT gives you an essay on everything. And lawyers or your downstream enterprise systems are just looking for this one name which has a limit of 100 characters. But you can't get an essay and just put it there. So if you answer it, but it's too verbose, it's not helpful. Does it miss key information? And you can go on and on. This is a subjective way for you to, every time you say this is the answer and somebody says, no, it's not. And then you say, why? And they say, oh, because you answered the customer name, but you did not added, is this a Inc. or not, or it's an LLC or not? Then you can add another question saying, hey, does it specify which type of company it is? If that's what is important for them. And you can have this framework that helps you do that. Now, honest. What is honest? Can the cited source information correct or not? If I said I got it from page number 7 in this contract, is this information present on page 7 or not? If it is not, then I can't trust you. You just maybe correct, maybe not, and I can't add value. And same is harmless, where your policies are there, your company policies. This is the responsible AI aspect, which we talked in our previous session. You will put all these things here. When your tool is responding, is it adhering to your company policies? And all your questions should be here. Okay, you have done that. You have gone ahead and created this awesome framework. And now anybody in your company, if you say we are not ready to ship because I wanted the helpfulness score to be summary 60%. This is the first measurement launch where you're launching only 1 to 2% of your customers. You are setting this that I will evaluate 20 contracts and we should be 60% helpful at least, 70%, 5% honest, and less than 5% harmless. So you're giving them little room, and then you are putting this roadmap out there, which is saying beta launch will be 70%, launch will be 80%. Avanti got it. I will take one question because I hate myself when I don't take questions. I think most of you are following. I'm looking at all of you, but I can take one question. So far, let me summarize what we have done. You have put the requirements. Your requirements help your team build the agent, but the agent did a lot of things. So you put a human eval across 3 tenants and you provided questions and somebody saying yes, no, giving you a percentage. And based on that, your team can decide are they ready to ship or they have to do more work. Angad, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to check, can I reimagine what you quote as honest as a must-have, what is helpful as a could-have, given the benchmarks you've set along it? I was trying to apply it to my use case. I couldn't place it in these themes. So I was trying to reimagine. Can you shed some light?
After the session, we'll listen to your use case and then it will be. Think of it helpful is the most important thing. This is what your customer will see. This is what your customer will care about. Honest is a verification step. Can they quickly verify? And if the verification is correct. For an example, I can answer a question correctly, but if I say it is on page number 7, but it's on page number 3, then we have a problem. Harsha, we're not taking more questions than one. We'll take it later, like after the session, if that's okay. Okay, so that's your helpful. Helpful is, did I answer the correctly? If the answer is wrong, then you're not helpful. But your answer is correct, but page number is wrong, where it is, then you are not honest. I can't validate it. When I go to that page, I don't see that information. And then you can say, sorry, it's on page number 3, I missed it. It's not going to break it, but you're losing trust in AI for me. I can't validate your work. If I can't validate, I can't buy your product, especially if I'm a lawyer. You see that? So helpful and honesty and harmless, all 3 are important. Okay, you have done that. So now you ship the product, your customers are getting, you are at this stage 2 to 10%. Whole of your team is just looking at it. So far, you have hired a lot of people who are basically looking at least 10% of interactions and giving you helpfulness, honest, and harmless scores. Life is looking good. But now you want to launch. And if you want to launch this product, you have to automate this. Because you can't do this at scale, right? You will have a lot of conversations, a lot of contracts. So that's where automation comes in, right? That's your last step, where you can go and automate these metrics. So you have to come up saying, hey, and you will not get the ground truth also, right? Because you can't just like, people will just upload contracts. You don't know what's the right information. So you are trying to say, okay, what can we do? And one idea is you will have another LLM, which is trained to do this faster, better, and has better understanding somehow, and which checks the work of your LLM and gets the same criteria. Is it too verbose or not? And it somehow is only trained to say what is verbose, what is not. And it answers binary, yes or no, right? So you generate an answer and then send it to this LLM, and the LLM says, oh, actually, you don't need a human anymore. I can actually do it for you. And it's a straightforward answer, like verbose or not verbose. You can justify what is verbose, give some examples from your past. And if you do that, then this is taken care by AI, right? So now you have one less thing to do, which is huge. If you're doing 1 million contracts every day, at least one column is filled by AI. Sachin, your setup looks like you're on a plane, right? Is that true? No, Sachin, I just got excited. I looked at Sachin and I was like, people are joining me from plane or so. Okay, no deroutes today. Okay, coming back. Okay, you can do this. You can also go and automate this one, which is harmfulness, and say, is there a personal information? There is already APIs which will say this is personal, this is not personal. And you can use that API to say, is the model asking for personal information or not? And as you do these steps, you can have more and more things automated. That's your last stage. You can also check for other things like precision, recall in your answers. Did I got all the context that was supposed to be? That's your recall. If I got what I got, is it precise? It doesn't have a lot of fluff in it. Yes, it has the content, but it's not beyond more than what is needed. That's your precision. So you can check your recall and precision rate. That's also an automation metrics that you can measure for quality of your products. And the last thing you can check also is a blue score and rouge score, which is, and it's not the last thing, there are many. The last thing I'm going to talk today is blue and rouge score, which is nothing but for descriptive answers like this one. All these requires you to have a reference, but they compare for descriptive answers like this one. What are the terms for customer indemnification? It's a descriptive answer. And let's say you also have a big answer here. And blue score will check, hey, how many of these exact terms are in this? So they have a complex way of defining these. Scientists just make it complex, so we product managers can't understand. They say they check n grams, and n grams is equal to words. They check how many words are in this matching to this. and come up with a score, right? So if a lot of word match, higher score. If less of word match, lesser score. Similarly, Rouge, which is another matrix, which you can automatically get a number, and higher number means good, which says how many of these continuous things are there, right? It tries to see, Rouge checks for recall. It tries to see, did you got everything? Precision just trying to see how many are you precise. And if you put both of them, you can check. Other 5 metrics, coherence, are you coherent? Are you making sense? Fluency, GPT similarity, all these are great examples of automating your work. And here is a link I want you to go read. This is an SDK that the makers of Databricks made, which allows you to automate your evaluations. This talks about a dashboard where you can see all these values: pass, fail, correct, context sufficiency. Did I provided the right context, which Achintu was talking earlier? If I don't do RAG, if I do RAG, then have I provided the right context, which is the honesty piece? Is it grounded? Is the response coming from the real thing or just made up? Is it safe? Which is your metrics of harmfulness, right? So you can match these, and there is a huge whole lesson, and we're gonna do people in course. You can just sit back, relax, because we're gonna do a lab which will use exactly all these metrics, which will land this. I know whenever I say lab, our uh, our co our cohort just scares. But you see, right? You're trying to get to production level code, so you have to put in some effort. But I found this one very helpful, and we're going to build a lab. But community, if you're not doing the course, that's okay. You can also learn. I would say just read through it, and there is code here. You can build it yourself. And if you want, you can join us also. Next cohort is half full. Last thing, metrics in 2 minutes, and then I'm all yours on Q&A. Okay, number of tasks. You can just start with number of tasks done. Then you can say completion rate per user. Then you can check your helpfulness, honest, and harmless. And then whatever earlier metrics you had for customer satisfaction, make sure that's not going away as you automate things away. And then you can expand on HHS. You can say how much verbose percentage, how much to the point percentage, what you have in your questions, you can expand on that. You can measure total cost of task execution. That's what you want to reduce as you continue your launches. Average number of tokens consumed or words consumed to make an answer. You want your team to reduce those. And errors during your journey. And you can keep adding. I just gave you a reference, but this is a good framework to think what is your North Star, what is the most important L1 metrics, and put helpfulness, harmless, and honest there. And that is all. So what we learned today? We learned setting human evals. You learned communicating clear metrics, and you can automate for productivity. And the most time we spent was if you can just start with very basic things like context, what is important, accuracy, is capacity